Well, let's talk a little bit about this. Mike Reed's back with us, as well as Jim Frischling throughout most of the morning so far. Jim, I mean, what do you think? We're getting the president's ideas on a health reform bill finally. His side, not the Republican side, not the Democrat side, the president's side. Any good going to come from this, what we hear today?
I think it's going to create some very interesting sound bites, to be only candid. But again, it seems like almost there's exhaustion, at least from the people I'm speaking with on this topic, and it almost seems to those in office on the Democratic side dangerous. If you look at Massachusetts as any indication to try to jam something through. So I think you're going to see maybe a little bit more balance in terms of hearing the Republicans' proposals, but it also just seems like there's also this big push to go back to the starting point, which is certainly not what President Obama and the administration want to see.
What do you think about that, Mike? I mean, is there any potential that you could get everyone on board at this point?
Not everyone, but I mean, they've got themselves into a real pickle. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Which one? You mean the Democrats?
The Democrats. I think if they don't produce, then it'll be pretty embarrassing that a party with a supermajority in two houses couldn't get through a piece of legislation which he campaigned on and very popularly. And I think that if they do get it through, people will be upset by the way it was done. I think the best they can hope for is some sort of package which goes through. They force it through by reconciliation. The Republicans will moan very loudly, and that they hope by the time the midterms come around, the economy has picked up sufficiently and unemployment has started ticking down, that people have sort of got a little less angry and forgotten a little bit about it.
Do you think that could happen, Jim?
No, I certainly think it could happen. I think it would have to be really a very balanced, I guess, and significant revisions and concessions.
Right.
And I think Mike is correct. This was campaigned on. This is supposed to get done. But my concern is that as it gets watered down, then you're going to lose interest from those who got behind it in the first place.
It's interesting to think about this jobs bill, the massive jobs bill that everyone was talking about in both the House and the Senate, and then it was pared down to just a $10–15 billion bill just to get some payroll tax cuts, things like that through. Do you think something like that could happen here, where it's, instead of a massive reform, you have bits and pieces of some legislation?
The problem I think they found, the Wall Street Journal had this great article a week ago about how Rahm Emanuel and some of the others had been suggesting a much smaller package go through. The problem they found was that once you start tinkering with little pieces of healthcare, you can't help but fundamentally change everything. If you change the rules on pre-existing conditions, etc., you change the business model, which means you really have to, you can't do a little bit, you have to do everything or nothing.
So we need a 3,000-page bill?
I think to some extent you do. Now, whether the American public are ready for it, I think another 5 or 10 years when more middle-class Americans are finding the cost of their premiums unsustainable, unaffordable, then I think there will be more of an appetite. Maybe it's a few years too early. In the meantime, there's going to be continuing to spend 16% of GDP on healthcare, which by international standards is atrocious.
Well, Jim, you have your own business, 50 employees plus right now?
That is correct.
He grew very quickly over the last couple of years. So that must have been, just on the personal side, how did you manage to do that when you went from just like, a dozen employees to then, quintupling that? How did you figure out the healthcare side of it?
Actually, as a business owner, it was a very serious issue. It remains an expensive cost to us, and I will also say that among all the things we put into the company, having a real benefits, big package for our employees was more important than almost anything else. People could take risk on an entrepreneurial company, but when it came to their family, this became a paramount issue. So I do see why this is a lightning rod of a topic, and you made the comment about the jobs, the unemployment benefits being extended. That's almost a lightweight issue, and everyone can get behind it. When you come to healthcare, it seems.
Well, would you be in favor of having that public side for healthcare? Would that fundamentally help out your business because you wouldn't have those health costs, or you would have employees that would opt maybe for a different option than the one you're providing?
I was open and still remain very open to seeing a change. But I would say that at the end of the day, for me and for NewOak Capital, and I imagine for so many business owners, this is something that's going to remain a fairly high cost for us to do business. And whether it's 16% or maybe something a little lower, the fact remains it's something that I think we all have to live with. And again, as owners, we have to put forward to our employees.
Yeah, you're seeing those prices go up, huh?
And we are seeing the prices absolutely going up.
It's so interesting. I can imagine that's a tough part. It's so personal it's also business.
Yes.
So thanks for letting me put you on the spot with that. Appreciate it.
Yes,
We'll ask for your health care card on the way out and really check your insurance and what you're providing everybody. Jim, I'm just kidding. Mike, thank you again. Also.